the last comment I want to make on Big Frank is sort of his evolution or de-evolution, as I should say. He seems to be reading all sorts of texts, trying to search for something higher, and who knows if the sneakers falling could have rattled something in his brain, because that does seem to affect him in a very deep way, at least for Big Frank. But he's consulting all these books, and he gets to Moby Dick, the chapter "The Whiteness of the Whale," which is a great chapter in that book, and he seems to be consulting all these texts, searching for something higher. So that's an interesting device, that before he actually goes about issuing the murder of Polly, he's seeking to evolve himself and failing at it.
Yeah, and the chat, he ends talking about the fiery hunt, and he ruminates about the fiery hunt, and this hints at things. The whole, I mean, Big Frank, as I said, he has probably the most potential of the four main characters, the titular characters, Paulie, the Norwegian, the Mule, and Big Frank. He's probably the only one of them that, if circumstances have been slightly different in his life, he may have been a good, decent person, maybe someone who would have gone on to learning and a higher pursuit of something. But for whatever reasons, he doesn't. I think it's the prostitute who may have given him the book Moby Dick. I don't recall, and so he has those moments, those little moments of supposed insight. I'm just trying to see here. Then he goes, it was we composed and we started. Andy took the well.
He seems also to have insight into the fact that he is a terrible person, whereas the others, even Polly to some extent, seem to justify their evilness. He is upfront with that in his mind, and then he has these little moments, like with the prostitute, where he'll admit it to other people. But he's as evil as any of them, and he knows it too. Whereas the others seem to delude themselves.
I would disagree. I don't think Paulie deludes himself at all. I think Paulie fully embraces his evil. Paulie knows he's a son of a bitch. Paulie, I don't think you can say that Paulie deludes himself into thinking he's a good guy whatsoever. Paulie, I think, is probably utterly at home with himself. Big Frank, on the other hand, seems to be at various times early in the book struggling with it. And I think Jessica had stated that that Big Frank, she thinks, is the main character, because at the end of the book he finally comes to embrace what he is, or what he has become, and he knows there's no return. But Paulie, as I said, if you read everything written about Paulie in all the books or short stories about it, Paulie seems to have been born bad from the get-go. The only slight out that Paulie may have is that he's not the real Paulie Maravelli, that he may have been switched at birth, and that he's really Mickey O'Flynn, a nasty little Irishman who thinks he's a Sicilian, and that the real Paulie Maravelli died at birth. So that's the only, and that's the thing that Paulie knows in his mind. And it could be that, if you're a psychologist playing Freud, is that Paulie maybe knows that he's wearing a mask, that he's wearing the mask of Paulie Maravelli. And the reason that Paulie Maravelli is able to indulge in his evil is, like anyone who wears a mask is free to be evil. This has been shown in many ways, that people, whether it's the last film of Kubrick, Eyes Wide Shut, wearing the mask, whether it's in all kinds of native symbolism, even the symbology, not just symbolism, but the symbology of the mask is that of hiding the true self. And it could be that Paulie Maravelli, at some reason, has always been uncomfortable with himself, and when he finds out that he may have been switched by Camille O'Ryan at birth with the real Paulie Maravelli, that could be that could be the only, I think, explanation, a hinted explanation. Otherwise, Paulie seems to be very at home with being an evil psychopath.
I suppose that's true to some extent. He just seems to have more. With Big Frank, I would disagree that he really struggles with anything. It seems like he is so calculating that he's planned out even those moments ahead of time. And I don't know the inner chronology of the books within other books, but he seems to be able to delude a lot of people into thinking that he's Paulie's right hand man when he's trying to usurp him at the same time. The one thing about him too is that he takes there's this one scene where where he's talking to the prostitute and he reveals himself that he's a terrible man,